Welcome to another edition of the Casual Hour, a podcast ostensibly about video games, but mostly about being presented in a 4-3 format to preserve the integrity of the Zack Snyder's creative vision. I'm your host, Bobby Pease. Joining me, as always, the gamer on the go, Chase Kinnicky, and the gamer that is sometimes late, Johnny Amizich. Welcome to the show.
I was on time.
You were not
My
on time.
Equipment,
You were
my
not on time.
equipment was late. I was on time. I got here.
You were on time before the show
Nope.
starts, but you were not on time in terms of getting ready for the show.
Yeah. Hey, can you all be here at this time? 7 minutes later. Be there soon. And then we're late. You can't talk yourself out of it. The facts don't lie, Johnny. The facts don't care about your feelings. The facts don't lie.
Well,
if I can watch 4 hours of this if I can watch 4 hours of Justice League,
he's a father.
You could be here for 7. Are you worse than the Justice League?
I was en route to drop off a package. I was taking.
We don't care about your bowel movements.
Overnight bag. I did that before the show too.
Well, you're doing it right now again. It's time to wipe.
Verbally.
It's gonna be a great show. As everyone can see.
I'm fired up. Welcome to the show.
Bobby's in the mood to fight. In a tight
I've been
space.
fighting a lot, and we are in tight spaces. Look at the new overlay. Look at those tight little spaces.
It's nice.
We are tiny little spaces. I should have just put pig under your name. That would have been better, right?
We look good.
Oh boy.
So listen, we've had a couple of weeks now of sitting on these niceties. We did 2. Like by the time of like us recording, we did a deep dive, which Chase, thank you. We finally have established some sort of balance in the universe with our prior deep dive. But we're back to what you've been playing, and a lot of news has happened.
Back to our roots.
We're back to our roots. We're back to the roots for sure.
Which is why tonight we'll be talking about the Blood and Wine DLC for The Witcher 3.
Wow. Wow.
Thank
okay.
I
you brought it back.
I choose no.
So tonight is what you've been playing, which means that we're going to cover quite a few games. I think most of us have played a decent amount of stuff, but there's been a lot of news. So we got a big episode, a king size episode, as they say. And I'd love to know, Chase, I would love to know, what have you been playing?
Honestly, not much. I mean, I've been playing a lot, but I just haven't been playing much of new stuff or many different games. Obviously, I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing. We just had our stream last night.
Ton of fun.
1-year anniversary stream. That was a ton of fun. Nice to see the island stuff. Now I'm starting to get into the time traveling. Now that I've made it a year, I did some time traveling before, but I'm starting to get into the time traveling to finish up the museum stuff. Get the other artifact or art pieces, and then get the other.
When you say time traveling, you're talking about setting your Switch's system stuff?
Yep, changing date and time, going to the correct months for some of those things.
Cheating is another word.
Sure, I put in 365 days plus. I'm entitled for some cheating.
Oh, so now you're entitled.
Yes, I'm a millennial, so obviously,
you're gonna
it goes without saying. I'm
burn down an Applebee's next, you monster.
Wow.
There's not an Applebee's near me.
Look, I time traveled several times in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, and your island sucks. So
it does.
Yeah,
that's obviously it can only do so much.
That's true.
So yeah, playing a lot of that. I've been playing a little bit of Destiny, not a ton, honestly. I played some tonight and realized I'm incredibly far behind on the story for this season. So I might try to fix that at some point.
Yeah, I've had a hard time keeping up with that myself.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm not there dragging you to play Destiny, you're not playing Destiny, and
that's true.
Definitely. So really, I've only been playing 2 games. I've been considering going back to Persona 5 Strikers, and just haven't been able to get excited enough to do it. I'm still planning on it at some point. I at least want to finish that first area, fight in Alice's jail, and see what that's all about. But
I feel like collectively we're all right there.
I'm having a hard time.
I'm
having a hard time.
I think I've heard this. So like you guys haven't even gotten grinded down to the part that I am. So it's It's kind of.
I think Chase, we talked offline, off pod, or maybe we were doing it was on Quick Looks or something like that. But I've really come to a grip with what I'm struggling with. I think from the combat, and I absolutely hate how they manage the SP on this game. And what I mean by that is this is a quote unquote like a brawler, right? I mean, you're fighting a lot of things where playing on turn-based, on traditional, Persona proper games, that SP is a problem. I mean, it goes down quite a bit, but it's like there's other ways to do it without completely going back out of that particular area. And if I go, at least where I'm at in the game right now, I feel that if I do 3 to 4 Persona attacks, I have no SP left. And it's just a real fucking bummer to fight some of those things that the whole game is about finding weaknesses and exploiting them. Like that's how Persona combat is. And if I do that, I feel like I'm being penalized, and I feel like, well, I don't have anything now, and there's like a named boss, or I'm going to be going up against a bigger boss, and I don't have any of this left. And I just feel like you get fucked over way too early, way too often in the combat of this game to make that seem like worth it. Like I don't even use that shit because I feel like this anxiety from not having it and having to go out of the jail, come back into it. It's just not, the flow of it is not good.
Yeah, we've talked about this in the past on the show, probably a couple weeks ago, but there is, I think Zelda Calamity did this a lot better, even with the idea of elemental weaknesses where you can use those consumable, but that you use them somewhat rarely. Use those consumable wands to affect people, affect enemies' strengths and weaknesses, and then you can go in and do some extra attacks with that. And this game was developed before that, so I kind of want to give them a little bit of a pass, but it's just not as good of a system, and I think it's got some issues in its combat, and I really wish it just had a way to dodge. There's no good dodge. There's just a dash that is not very good. You can avoid some attacks with it, but it's not, even like a Dark Souls roll would be good or something, and there's just nothing there, and that kind of is a problem.
That's about
you're scraping the fucking bottom of the barrel when all you want is something from Dark Souls in the game. I mean, like how bad does it have to be?
When I'm begging for Dark Souls mechanics, that must be.
Hang on a second. Wait. I can't believe this has gone for almost 10 minutes. And we have not even addressed how beautiful you look tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Chase, I think you look beautiful every night. I don't
Shut the fuck up, Johnny.
You don't need to impress me. I think your haircut does look very nice.
For the listeners out there, this is what I normally look like. I've had my COVID hair for the last year.
Yeah. How much did how much did they cut off? Like do you know how long it was?
It was getting to around 10-ish inches.
Go on.
It was close to that. Yeah. I
did you
thought
donate
about going
it
a little bit longer. I was thinking about going a little bit longer so I could donate it, but it wasn't quite long enough for that. I think they need a full 12, and so I said, I just can't. I can't stand it. I can't take.
You look great. You look great.
Yeah. This is how I normally look. This is how I.
How do you feel? Do you feel good?
I feel much lighter.
When you were walking back into your apartment, did you have a little shimmy in your step? Is my question. Were you really working that haircut?
I was so excited that I walked from the salon to High Point when I got a burger. So
did you get whistled at a little bit on that walk?
All the way across downtown. I could be seen. People could see me. That was great. And then it's been nice.
I mean, I couldn't wait until breaking news to talk about your haircut. It's so distracting.
Let's make the top story.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about the games I've actually been playing these last couple weeks?
Let's do it, man.
So if you remember 2 weeks ago, I talked about nuts, and I talked about it extensively. And Bobby was kind of upset because he said he basically said the same thing before, and I just kind of repeated him.
Yeah, you displayed your nuts for the whole world to see.
I've beaten nuts now.
Yeah.
So Bobby is not.
Look,
Bobby's
you don't need to brag about something that most men do every day.
I know Bobby's nuts continue to not be played with for a while, and that's
I
disappointing.
hate this.
Honestly.
I hate this. I
Are
hate
we
this.
are we a morning radio show right now?
Baba
No,
Booey.
you're too late for the
Bobby,
morning.
you got that soundboard.
I do. Hang on.
Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny's
Why do
really.
Why do you have to ruin surprises? You ruined Raymond. Now you've ruined the soundboard.
He doesn't have a soundboard.
Can we have no surprises?
He does not have a soundboard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I just absolutely. I think it just went. I don't. Yeah, you can't hear it, but chat's getting it right now.
Okay, well, at least chat hears it. That's the important one. Anyway,
It's going to make for really good radio.
I'm sure it will. I finished Nuts, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I think the last thing is kind of a jerk move, but
Okay.
it's okay. I enjoyed my time with that.
It is
But
what it is.
I've also been playing another game that Bobby was playing and played it more than him, and kind of feel compelled to talk about it, even though he basically said everything about it the last time we did this, and that's Loop Hero.
It's very good. I would love to hear more about
It is
Loop
very
Hero.
good. Yeah. I think we're probably actually around the same spot, Bobby, because I heard you say that you unlocked the forest relatively recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I just unlocked the forest today, and I played a few rounds with it. I like the forest. They increase your attack speed.
Yeah,
And
it's nice. It's good stuff.
Also, I think the forests might bring one of the best new characters of 2021 with it. If you put down 9, 10, can't remember exactly how many, but there's a very good character you meet if you put down a number of forests.
Johnny, have you been playing this game?
Not as much as you two, but I have put like a good number of runs into it, and it's definitely one of my favorite games I played this year.
You save your runs for your underwear. Let the boys talk about the game.
It's got a lot of good strategy to it. I really enjoyed the beginning of it, where it just felt like I was getting better at the loops and learning more and discovering things. The discovery aspect, I think, is really incredible. They tell you at one point I thought they didn't tell you enough, and now I think they tell you just enough to get you interested, and then you're there to experiment and play.
Yeah, they're not there to hold your hand. Like very basic tutorial, and then kind of just there you go figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, but now that I'm kind of in the,
I think.
Yeah, the writing's great. But now that I'm in the mid game, a lot of the goals are more oriented towards building the base, like your home base area, your XCOM kind of area.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's very fun at all. I don't
it's
like
a fucking grind
building
for
stuff.
Sure.
It takes a lot of resources, even in the mid game, to build new things. And some things you can build multiples of, but the game doesn't do a great job of showing you that, hey, you already have one of these. And so I made a couple of warehouses or a couple of mud huts. I can't remember which one, but I made two of the same things. Like, I didn't want to do that because I'm trying to get forests and rivers, and I'm trying to get all the tile things that I can get. I don't need to burn resources, which seem relatively scarce on more of the things I already have. So that's kind of a bummer. And I just kind of feel like I'm in this grind. I haven't beaten the second boss yet. I've seen the second boss once, and I just feel like I need more things for the home base part to be able to be strong enough for that boss, and I'm just not getting there yet. So that is kind of the grindy middle stuff that I'm not loving, but I still like the moment to moment gameplay of going through those loops, playing the cards, having a strategy, thinking, oh, I should hold these meadows back so I can potentially get another, the treasury. So maybe I'll get another treasury and I can build around that. It's been fun watching you stream that and see how you lay down tiles, which I can then say, oh, don't do that. There's a more efficient way of doing that.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty good at what you talked to me about the last time. Like, I've got that down to science at this point. The only thing that kind of trips me up right now is
treasuries feels clutch,
big time. And I've really worked on minimizing my deck and keeping that to a point where, like, it's more fruitful on what I'm seeing. Like part of you just wants to load it up and be like, oh, these are all really cool.
Sure.
Like I can see of it, but being like, that's the strategy. Like that's the fucking part of the game where you're trying to get to it. So I'm at the point now where I am very content. Like I can get to that first boss, no fucking problem at all. And I'm really just now trying to get as many resources as possible. And I'm learning a bit more about the other two classes and just trying to really maximize my efficiency on that first run. And that feels pretty good in itself because there, like to what you both have been sharing, like there's a pretty big fucking learning curve with this game. And to be able to get through that first boss every time effortlessly and still walk away like when I want to versus when the game's forcing me to feels really good.
I'll give you a little hint / warning here. You actually get a resource bump if you play on the second difficulty for the second
Okay.
boss. So even though it's fun to grind on the first one, you're probably not getting as many resources as you might be able to get if you go into the second one.
Interesting.
So even though I think the first one very similar to Dicey Dungeons, where the first one is kind of here's just the vanilla game and you play through it and it's really fun. And then once you do that, then you move on to the second one. And now everybody's got extra powers. The game feels like it's stacking the deck a little bit more against you. And that part feels a little bit less fun. I kind of prefer the vanilla one, the first area, but it's still a good time. I'm really enjoying it. As Bobby would say, you'll probably hear more about this game in December.
I wish there was a way for you to stream it. I would love to watch you play this game a bit more. And I know that we talk about this a lot, and I know that there's not. Yeah, for sure.
We'll get there if I can get some decent internet in this place. I'm not the biggest fan of streaming myself, but I could see myself doing a couple of Loop Hero streams or some smaller things.
Yeah, I just think like your strategy and approach to it, the way that your brain kind of navigates through it, would be pretty interesting to watch. Versus like me clumsily trying to like navigate based off of your direction.
I suppose what I could do is instead of streaming, I could just record my screen as I'm playing, and then maybe go into GarageBand and talk over that and combine those things, and then just put them up as YouTube videos. That sounds better. No offense to our chat, who's all great, but I'd prefer playing games without people looking over my shoulder and second guessing things.
Sure.
So maybe that would be something I would do is just record a session and put it up and see how that goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that as you're recording your screen, it captures your voice too, if you wanted to do that.
Oh, okay. So I wouldn't even need that second.
You could just do like 2 birds, 1 stone that for sure.
Nice. I like Loop Hero a lot. I'm going to keep playing it. In fact, I had to stop myself from playing it so much so I could play other things and do other things. And it's pretty good. It's got me playing on a computer, and that is not something I usually do.
Takes a special kind of game.
Sure.
Yeah. Although I would definitely play this if it came to Switch, and I would play it all over again.
Yeah.
Probably better. I wouldn't build those damn mud huts when I didn't need to. The other game I've played is also a game Bobby introduced me to, and I think I've played more than Bobby at this point. That's Everhood.
This game is really cool.
Yeah, we actually put the quick look up this morning on our YouTube channel. So if you need some sort of visual for this, check that out. We got all the links that you need. I'll throw them up here in the channel also for the viewers, but
I'll grab it.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean the quick and dirty simplistic way of saying it is it's Undertale meets Guitar Hero. Kind of, I guess. Like it's very much that Earthbound, that Undertale look, that pixely look, that top-down view, that writing style, the a little bit mysterious, a little bit jokey. This one feels again similar to Undertale, feels a little darker than what you get out of an Earthbound. But also just like a super quirky cast of characters that all seem to kind of be based around a color theme.
Yep.
Which I'm learning more about as I go in. But the Guitar Hero part, it's a rhythm game kind of. I actually called it like a reverse rhythm game, where the you have a note highway like you would in Guitar Hero. So you see the notes coming down. There's 5 tracks more or less, and the enemies will be at the top, and they will kind of shoot notes down at you, and there are different types of notes, and then you are at the bottom and you're trying to avoid the notes. You can either dodge to the left and right, or you can jump over some of the notes. Some of the notes are too high to jump over, and then they just kind of keep building, I wouldn't say mechanics, but building tricks on top of that. Of here's different combinations. Here's maybe a bunch of the little waves that you can jump over, but we're going to put a bunch of them here at once, so you can only jump over a portion of them. Here's 2 tall ones, so you have to dodge to the side. You can't jump over these, and you can't be in the corner, or else you're screwed. And then it gets even trippier. Unfortunately, this is the one that we lost when we first did the quick look, but it was crazy. And that was this gnome battle. Again, it's not really a battle.
It's one of the strangest things I've navigated in a video game ever.
It felt like they shot their shot super early, because that's something you play within like the first 20-30 minutes of the game. And I don't think it's an incredibly long game. I've probably put 2 hours or so, 2 or 3 hours, and I think I'm kind of close to being done.
A little bite-sized experience.
Yeah, which is nice. I really appreciate that. But this gnome encounter is the weirdest, coolest thing I've seen. It's definitely a front runner for a moment of the year. To not give away too much, but to try to entice you a little bit more. The way they play with, again, not mechanics, but just like tricks, where they'll the one I will say is that they start shifting the note highway left and right. They're like shifting the whole screen, rotating it, and now it gets to the point where it flips all the way over, and now your
upside
controls
down,
are
flipped
upside down, and that is interesting, and they keep playing with it in more and more ways. That whole battle is
I thought
nuts.
There was a point where I thought my computer was like legitimately shitting the bed. Like I thought my computer was just like fucking breaking down, and I thought this game was like
glitchiness. There's some fun.
It's cool. It's a very cool game. I think it's $10, right? 10?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's $15. It's $15 on Switch. I know that.
10 on Steam right now.
And it has a demo on both platforms.
Yeah, nice. I like it a lot. I think it's got a lot going for it. I'm going to keep playing it, and I hope to finish it here real soon. I'm in a Dungeons and Dragons game right now that's going haywire as I'm playing it, and that part is really fun too. There's so many cool things in this game. I'm glad you showed it to me, and I'm glad I'm playing it.
I'll tell you what, man. I feel like I'm 3 out of 3 with you on these games I'm bringing to you, and it feels pretty good because you usually don't like the things that I do, and I feel
I mean, after digging yourself into the center of the earth with Valheim, you slowly.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Borderlands 3.
Well, he already has like drilled through the bottom of the earth out into space, and now he's like slowly climbing back up with good bangers like Loop Hero, Everhood.
Yeah, but Valheim is a really good video game, Chase. I don't understand what the problem
Chase,
is.
I'm feeling
That's debatable.
Normally, you would say, Bobby, you've already done it. You're 3 out of 3. Why? Like, stop. You're ahead. You've done good.
Why you got to bring up old wounds?
I'm here tonight to go. I'm going the distance with a 4th game.
You haven't even said what the 3rd game is.
We've talked about it on stream, but tonight I will talk more about fights in tight spaces.
Yeah, there you go.
But I got another game before that one.
Okay, I don't know. We'll see. Skeptical, but we'll see. That's all I've been playing. So why don't you tell us?
Yeah, Bobby.
First, tell us a tiny bit about fights in tight spaces. I know we have a lot of footage of that on the site.
Yeah,
we have a site, but like the general oeuvre of the casual hour.
Man, that game looks cool as hell.
It is cool as hell.
Very, very cool. Had probably one of the funnest times on stream this past Monday playing that. This is a run-based deck building strategy game that takes place on a grid very similar to like an XCOM or a Into the Breach. And you are given a bunch of different moves that you can upgrade, replace, append, and all that kind of stuff that are fighting moves that use a like a mana system or momentum system in this game to go up against varying degrees of enemies that can and will attack sight unseen, whether it's you or other enemies. So it really leans heavily into those mechanics from Into the Breach. I think the design of it borrows a lot of it feels like a Super Hot with different shades of red, and then like your character's black.
Yeah, somebody played Super Hot.
Somebody played some Super Hot.
Somebody played Super Hot, played Into the Breach, and watched some James Bond and said, I could make a game like that.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? It fucking works. I really enjoy it. It even does the replay that you get from like a Super Hot, where you get to see all the action like without any breaks in it. It does have a pretty high strategy to it. Like it seems like it would just be a brawler game, but you got to really I got to the very last boss of the first run and was getting pretty confident, got into a corner legitimately, and struggled with it. But you and I had so much fun. Just like I was out there taking punches, and you were in my corner telling me what moves to dodge. And I want to play more of this game. I started playing something else that has really occupied my time. It's an older game, and I'll talk about it in a second. But this game is really fucking cool. I do think, at least for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to keep Monday nights all right for fighting in tight spaces. And I think that it's a really cool game for the stream. We had people calling shots for us. We got a donation based off of our execution on a table. That was really fun. It's just fucking neat. $25. It's on Xbox. It's on PC. There is a prologue demo.
It's early access.
Yeah, it is early access. So it's game preview on Xbox, early access on Steam. It does have a prologue for free on PC if you want to check it out. And I believe you can do a good portion of that first level and the tutorial on that prologue. So definitely worth checking out. High replay value. I think it makes a very strong debut and a strong case for what it's doing. It's really fucking cool. We've got video on demand of that. We also have a quick look up. So we've got 2 videos you can check out, both of which are on YouTube and our Twitch page here.
And like I said on the stream, I think that this is going to be a game that I probably start raving over more next year when it eventually comes to Switch. Because like early access, it's not coming out anytime soon, it seems. But what's there right now is really good. I think the UI could use maybe a couple touch-ups. It's a little difficult to know exactly what's coming at you, or maybe that's just I need a little bit more practice or need to watch it a little bit more to see some of those things. There are a couple cards. There's Shift and Slip that do slightly different things, but they're close enough in name that we screwed up and planned our strategy completely wrong by not realizing what card we had in our hand. Maybe a couple little touches here and there that could use a little polish, but what's there is really, really cool. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, like, hey, if anybody remembers John Wick Hex that came out last year, that did a lot of these similar things, but just wasn't quite there, which is really disappointing to me because I love Mike Bithel's games. This one hits all the right notes. It is doing what John Wick Hex wanted to do, and it's doing it incredibly well.
Yeah, man, I really love it. It's a game that I've kind of been unwinding with a bit too, to see what I can do from progression standpoint. So Chase, I was teasing you a bit as we were leading into this segment for me, and Johnny and I have talked a little bit offline, and I've got a theory here about this game I'm going to bring up. Anytime that there's a loot-based video game that comes out, or anytime there's like a live service game, you're quick to say, I've got Destiny. I don't have time for anything else. Why would I do that?
True.
And Johnny, he said that this game has big chase energy, and I tend to agree that it does have big chase energy.
I continue to hate this phrase, but okay.
And BCE, a lot of BCE from this game. But then I said to him, like, this could spawn, however, I already have an Animal Crossing game. I don't need another Animal Crossing game. So why would I want to play one of these? But I'm here to tell you about Cozy Grove.
Raymond. Why would I ever play it?
It's like I own Stardew Valley, and I've owned Stardew Valley for a long time, but I have Animal Crossing, so it's really hard for me.
Yeah, but Stardew Valley is better than Animal Crossing. So
I don't know if it's better.
It's
better. Different. It's a quality game. I realize that. I just haven't put
it's also a better
I know I
game.
would enjoy it.
We're going to do one of those things that typically we don't tell you about games that are coming out until our preview episode. This is a game that launched on Apple Arcade first and comes out April 8th for everything else. So it hasn't
really come out, is what you're saying.
No, it's out.
It's out for sure.
I don't
for $4.99 a month, or potentially if you bought a new.
So let me give you a pitch here. Cozy Grove, the people who make this game are 100% leaning into, hey, this, if you like Animal Crossing, you're gonna like our game. Like, they're legitimately putting tweets out about it. They even make commentary of, and you know what? If you want to take a day off, you want to take a week off. If you want to come back in 2 months, none of your villagers are going to say anything to you about it. And they're playing into that a bit. It's a guilt-free approach. Now, the one thing to note, the people that you occupy with, or the things you occupy with, are dead. It's all ghosts. Yep. It's a haunted island.
But it's so cute, Robbie.
It's a very cute game. It's a very, very cute game. It's got an awesome art style to it. It lives somewhere, like, I would say, more on the spectrum of a Don't Starve by its looks. Like, it's got some hand-drawn elements to it. The movement of your character feels very much like the movement in Don't Starve, but it's not a survival craft game by any stretch. The game, what I didn't realize about this game is a game that is built off of timers. So, like, unlike like Animal Crossing to a degree, is like you have to wait a day. Like, okay, you can do this in a day. Like, you'll wait and come back tomorrow. It'll be there. This is literally like there's a campfire, a spirit fire that you have to feed spirit logs to. And you get a log whenever you complete a quest for somebody on your little island. And you get 3 logs a day. And so once you do that, it's like, hey, I don't really see anybody else with a log. Hang out, do whatever you want, but we're good. Come back tomorrow. And the game even does on mobile one of those things where it's like, hey, do you want to enable notifications? We'll let you know when the timer's up that you can come back in here and do it. Now, there's no progression. There's no in-app purchases or nothing like that. It's a game designed to get you in of it and get you out of it. So you could put 15 minutes, an hour into it, whatever you want to do, and put it down for the day and move on about your business. So I do appreciate that from it. It was a little jarring at first. I'm like, wait a second, I want to keep doing this. Like, I'm playing this game right now.
Yeah. I played for like an hour and a half last night, and eventually one of the characters was basically like, dude, I got nothing for you. Come back later.
Yeah.
Like,
we say the same thing to Johnny after every podcast.
So it's got some cool mechanics to it. There's a little bit. It does honestly live more towards a Stardew Valley than an Animal Crossing. I think it's Animal Crossing and cuteness alone, and just the way that you have relationships. There's a lot more story happening than there is in Animal Crossing. You're learning a lot more about what happened with these people and what that would look like, or these bears or creatures, whatever they really are. It's just done very well, and it does work very good on mobile. It does a great job with the touchscreen. I prefer playing this. So far, I've played it on my iPad probably the most, just because of the size and being able to tap around, and it does a great job. But Sarah is really excited for this, and she's going to pick it up on the Switch. I can tell you that's probably going to be like the best home for this game versus mobile for sure. Like, the Switch is going to be a great place to play it.
The touch controls are fine.
Yeah. Like, I don't think that I will pick it up on Switch based off how much I've played on mobile and how well it does there. Like, I don't need to play it on Switch. So it's a great game. It's definitely one that, like, I would say if you were on the fence about trying, there's 2 games coming out for Apple Arcade. This is one of them, and the other one is, I can't think of the name right now, the people that made Blue Dragon. We talked about it a while back, but
Oh yeah, the craft
Yeah.
one.
Both
Like
of those
craft
look great.
paper, not crafty.
hmm So
I watched a trailer for Cozy Grove today, and it does look like something I would play.
for sure.
I won't give it the acronym, but it does look like a thing I might.
So yeah, Cozy Grove, very cool. Playing that on Apple Arcade, comes out April 8th for everything else. And last thing here, I will try my best to be brief, but this is the game I'm most excited to talk about tonight. Is a game that's old. I think it's a couple of years old at this point in time. But
I'm
it is
surprised
more than a couple.
this already.
Yeah, I am too. And I've had it on my list to play for a long ass time. And I'm finally getting around to playing Subnautica. And
So what prompted you to finally pick this up and check it out?
well, I actually got this. So I have the sequel downloaded, and it just entered its final update for early access. And I had told myself you can't play this until you play the first one. And I saw recently, because I think I got this for free a few months or a while back on PlayStation. I saw that it was on PC Game Pass, and I was like, all right, just check it out, play it. And this is a very me game for sure. I have, so like, I don't know if we ever really talked about it on stream, but like my entire right arm is a water-based nautical theme. Like I've got squids and whales and shit all over my arm. Like I'm very much into like the ocean and the creatures of the ocean. I'm very fascinated by that.
That's why you live right here in St. Louis.
That's why I
we've got
live
the
here in
river.
St. Louis. I got river to pair.
The coast of the Midwest.
But Subnautica is a survival-based video game that takes place on an alien planet underwater where you are base building, upgrading resources. I mean, it's got all the things I love from like a Satisfactory. It's got the things I love from Minecraft, the stuff I love about Valheim. It's got some Sea Lab vibes to it when you start to build, and it's so fucking cool. Oh my God, this game is insanely good. And there was a comment I read somewhere where they were going down some games, and they're like, what Portal did for puzzle games, Subnautica does for the survival base building genre. And it does some really cool shit.
Oh, it ruined it, where everybody tries to do the same thing and then just ruin the genre by drilling it into the ground. Is that what you mean?
I mean, a lot of people, I don't think that they were the first to do some of these concepts, but I think that they've added a layer of polish to it that feels exceptionally good.
I'm not bashing Subnautica. I'm bashing all the games that came after Subnautica.
No, that's fair.
Like Valheim.
So this is
okay. Sorry, Bobby. Tell me more about Wet Valheim.
Wet Valheim.
God. Whoa.
Don't want to. You can't go to bed when you're wet in Valheim.
The ground is shaking.
So Chase, two things that you won't like about this game. It does have a hunger and a thirst system.
All right, hate it already.
But they have an option at the very beginning of the game that they've got everything that the game offers in its standard form, but they just take out the food and the hunger element. And it's called freedom mode. So all the survival elements that you would have to navigate through are there. I am playing it the way that they intended you to play it, with those elements there. And I talked to you off pod about this, but they make it pretty damn easy to like take care of that. So certain, like, you can just grab fish as you're swimming around and bring them back, and you have a machine at your base that you can cook stuff with. Or you can make certain fish, like there's a fish called a bladder fish, and that fish can be cooked or turned into like a water bottle. And like, this isn't like a gross looking like fish water bottle. It's like a futuristic, we can convert this into an actual water bottle. But if you eat the fish, sometimes it has H2O qualities, so you can like cover both of your bases there. There's something incredibly calming, but also incredibly unsettling about being in the ocean and swimming around.
That game makes me so nervous.
They don't do jump scares. They don't set out to get, they do. There are jump scares in it, but they don't it's like a horror game. It's kind of like your own fault if you get in that situation. So they show you pretty much like where you're at, like what's going to hurt you and what's not going to hurt you. And they give you a pretty big playground. I ventured off a bit because when you land, you're in an escape pod and you can see your ship. And I start to get near my ship because it's like, hey, there's literally a countdown when you start the game. Your ship's going to blow up. I'm like, well, shit, maybe there's some stuff on there I can get before it blows up. So I start going towards it. The water starts to become radiated. And I'm like freaking out. So I turn to swim and I just hear this noise. And I like start looking around frantically in the game. And whatever this thing was massive. And it just fucking ate me. And it was awful. It scared the absolute shit out of me.
I did the same exact thing whenever I played that game. I had the same thought as you. It was like, oh, I got to get to that ship. There's going to be stuff there. And I just fucking got murdered.
Yeah, that's gonna make it a hard pass for me.
But I did find a really cool spot. So they've got biomes in there. I found 2 that kind of intersect. And then there's a big crack that opens up to the deeper parts of the ocean. And the whole way that this game works, it's based off of a series of blueprints. And so you build, like, the first thing you do, like, here's a pro tip for anybody who's getting into a game like this, because it doesn't hold your hand. And most of these games don't tell you what to do. Legitimately look at what you can craft, start crafting it, and the game opens up. That's all you have to do to get started with any of these. Just build the basics. So as you build the basics, you get the ability to go deeper. You get flippers and shit like that. So I start to do this. But you get the scanner, and the whole thing is there's wreckage around you and debris. And as you scan it, you're learning about new things to make. And it's really cool how it tells you the story of like things that have happened on this area. So I built my first base at the top of this crack that goes down into the ocean. I found an entire fucking sea lab down there. It was insane. Like I went down to the bottom. There's an entire sea lab that's been abandoned. I start scanning shit in there. So now like I have all these things I can build once I get the resources.
I mean, yeah, that show did get canceled a long time ago. So
the one thing that I'm going to try and do as I wrap up here, the game has support for VR, and I think that might be pretty cool to check out. So I'm going to hook up my Quest, and I'm going to play this game in VR and check that out.
You want to get eaten in VR?
I do want to get eaten in VR.
Oh no, I don't think there's any more. That's just about the most stressful situation that you could put a person in, is just abandon them in the middle of the fucking ocean. Like
the one thing that's pretty terrifying is like navigating the cave systems when you have an oxygen tank on your back. Like,
no, I played a decent chunk of that game. It was either a game with gold or it was on Game Pass on Xbox at one point, sometime in the last.
It's very very good.
And I did play a little bit of that game. It's very cool, but it really stressed me out.
Water levels are the worst levels in video games.
They do a really good job with
Subnautica. I'm sure there's some good stuff in there, and I also really liked Abzu. So like, I'm not saying you can't make good underwater games.
Don't let your history with Mario ruin.
I do. Know
it's more Sonic 2.
There's some apparently like they really did some cool shit in the sequel with like voiceover work and like a fully voiced protagonist in the game. So I'm excited to see what that is. I don't know how far I'll play this one before I start the second one up, but all the forums I went to,
you fulfilled your promise to yourself.
Yeah,
that's good enough.
Yep. So we'll see. I'll play a little bit more of this one, but I'll probably fire up this new one and just start playing that and go from there.
What's the new one called? Is it just Subnautica 2?
It's called it's Subnautica below zero is what it's called.
Oh.
And I don't know what it is, but apparently in the first game there is a pretty big like twist that happens where this game and I'd like to see what that is because I don't want to start this other one where that's kind of like a known quantity because
just watch the YouTube video.
Yeah, I could. Okay. I could keep talking about this game. I am going to stream this game next week at some point in time. I think it'd be a fun one to stream for sure. But that's what I have. That's what I've been playing. Still Loop Hero, still Everhood, like Chase said, but mostly this stuff right now. I have not played a lot of Valheim because I'm playing these other things. So Chase, that's for you.
Play Wet Valheim.
Wet Valheim. Johnny.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are good enough, do you guys remember that lousy Nintendo Direct we had last month sometime?
It was fine. You got Mario Golf.
Okay, all right, maybe lousy's a little.
That's this
unfair,
year,
but
right?
anyway,
Mario
Mhm.
Golf.
Mario Golf?
Yeah.
June.
Okay.
Yep,
hmm
comes out in June. I think like a few days before my birthday, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
So the season 2 or whatever, volume 2 of the fighter pack that they've been working on with Smash, because that game just keeps on going.
These are the real last characters that they're making.
Are
Are
they?
they?
I thought there was more.
Well, I mean, there are more in this pack, but I think this pack is the last pack.
Yeah. So there's still
Jesus
2 or 3
Christ.
more characters.
There's so many
that are gonna
characters
be
in this
added.
game.
It is. So they added Sephiroth, and Sephiroth's really cool. I played with him a little bit. But they
He's
added
not cool. He's kind of a
Pyra
dickhead, if you ask me. But
and Mithra.
I haven't beat the game. What do I know?
Is a cool villain. So Pyra and Mithra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
How do you know
Another
that?
game you love.
I've played a decent chunk of the first game,
What's a decent
but I've
chunk
not-
by your standards?
like 20 hours.
It's a pretty decent chunk, but for that
Yeah.
game, it's also like
mean, it's
scratching
like-
the surface.
So you got through the
A tenth
tutorial.
of that game. Yes.
And these
um,
characters aren't in Xenoblade 1.
No, they're not. These are the quote-unquote blades that you use.
They did reference that they knew Shulk in the videos, though. Like they mentioned, like,
Did
"Oh, hey,
they?
Shulk, yeah." Like I
That's
don't know
right.
if that was just like,
I think-
"Hey, whatever, we're having fun here," or if they actually show up somewhere. I do not remember the big booby sword
I thought-
ladies being talked about until 2 came out. So
Yeah, I thought
I
that
don't
the
know.
2 were completely unrelated, but what do I know? Anyway, so this
You know
is
nothing,
like
Johnny
2
Snow.
characters. Yes. Chase, do you remember whenever in Brawl, was it, or was it Melee, where Zero Suit Samus was introduced
that
as Sam? It was Brawl, because it was
was
whenever the
Brawl.
Smash Ball was first introduced.
Mhm.
And if you got Samus's ultimate power, then you became Zero Suit Samus, because it was so like it exploded
Yeah.
her armor off of her body.
Yeah.
So this is similar to that concept, except you can switch back and forth between the 2 whenever you want, as long
So
as your
it's-
sword
it's-
is in your hand.
So it's Zelda and Sheik from Melee, is what you
Yes, thank you.
or Pokemon Trainer.
There's too many.
No. There were other good examples, and you went for the worst one. But okay.
I'm sorry, Chase. Anyway, so it defaults to Pyra, and Pyra has fire moves, as you might have guessed. But the down
I
B
think
attack.
you can actually choose Mithra. I think you can like hold a button or something, and you can start as Mithra if you want.
Oh, okay. I didn't figure that
Interesting.
part of it out. So, they all have their standard like over B, up B, all those attacks. But if you hit down B, you switch to the other character. And Pyra is much slower. Her attacks are much more deliberate. They pack more punch. And Mithra's is a lot more nimble, and she has a lot more range. So she's good at sniping people if they've fallen off the edge, or if there are a group of people that you're fighting against. Her over B attack, she kind of flies all over the map and does a little bit of damage to everyone. Where Pyra's is much more. You need to go after a specific target, and it's going to deal more damage. I'm actually really impressed that I like these characters as much as I do. I think of all of the DLC characters, these may be my favorite, which
I believe
is-
that. I mean, they have less of a gimmick than some of these other characters. And,
Yeah.
we've mentioned on the show, I think it's incredible that Sakurai is not just doing the bare minimum for these characters, but he's actually going all out when he's making these things. Like the Minecraft Steve is
insane.
ridiculous how much Minecraft shit gets in there. Almost to its detriment, where it feels like, oh, man, this character's too complicated to play to figure out all the materials.
Yeah,
and shit that guy.
Jude
But like these
tried playing with
these
Steve, and it was
I'm sure that was not fun.
not fun for him.
But like these two are basically just like 2 sword characters, and you can switch between them, which is a mechanic we've done before. So it's not
It's not
like,
entirely
it
new
makes
concept to
sense.
Smash,
yeah.
but it's still you have to learn how these two characters play and the situations in which one would be better than the other. And that was really fun. So I played like several CPU matches, and then I eventually went online, and I like, despite the first time playing against other people with this character, I actually did all right. I ended up winning a couple of rounds. Other times I got my ass handed to me, but hey, that's Smash for you.
They must have been lagging.
Yeah, totally. They must have a lag switch or something. So yeah, not a ton to say about these. I try and go and test out the new characters whenever they are released, and these are the ones that had like the strongest first impression on me in quite some time. And I just wanted to give kudos to Mr. Sakurai. I appreciate the hard work. Please take a vacation at some point.
He's a good man, that Sakurai.
Yeah. Other than that, I mentioned I played some Cozy Grove, some Loop Hero. I put a few hours into Ni no Kuni, because I will finish that game eventually. But I've had this itch in the back of my mind for like a shooter or something. Like, so I just wanted to kill stuff, in a video game because.
So you joined me to play some Destiny.
I did.
Yeah, all that Destiny.
I have been playing some Destiny here and there.
You have played some
but
Destiny.
It wasn't quite doing it for me. I needed something a little bit more visceral. And then I was reminded that I own Doom Eternal. I was watching some gameplay of the new DLC. I was watching some gameplay of the Ancient Gods DLC that came out for that last year. And I decided I would fire this game up again because when I played it, I played with a controller, and most of the things that I read said, like, despite Doom 2016 playing extraordinarily well with a controller, that's how I beat it when I played through it last year on PC and had a fantastic time with it. There's just something that felt like all the different things that you had to do in Eternal, like balancing your armor, watching your health, waiting for the cooldown on your grenade. It was just so difficult to manage. And I think, Bobby, you kind of had a similar thing too, where all of it together kind of.
The keyboard was good. Wasn't better than the game, though.
I disagree. I think that this is awesome. So I've become more accustomed to playing mouse and keyboard over the last year since building my PC, and I played a bunch of this over the weekend. I picked up where I left off, which was not an insignificant amount into the game. So it took me about an hour or so to get my sea legs again, and really
your hell legs,
feel comfortable.
Please.
My hell legs. I was talking to a friend, and he was like, "Oh, make sure that you map stuff to the extra buttons on your mouse because that helps a lot." I had already done that when I played this last year and tried to play it with mouse and keyboard. I just forgot. So I've got my melee and my flamethrower mapped to the buttons on my mouse, and I so focused when I was playing this game that I couldn't form sentences. Like my wife came in and asked me a question, and I wasn't able to intelligently answer her because I was
just another Monday night at the Image House.
He's setting himself up.
God.
No, because it like when you're in those combat arenas, you need to be on the move. You need to be using the.
So you just went back to your primitive monkey brain.
Yeah, exactly, and it was great. It was great because that's all I was thinking about. Like nothing else. Life has been stressful for a while now for a lot of different reasons. But it was nice to be able to fully
man. Staying home playing video games is pretty all right.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Quit. It's a rough life.
That's all Johnny does.
Quit diminishing my experience, please. It was awesome. This isn't a new game. This game came out last year, but do
you think we gave it a bad rap? Like knowing what you know now, how would Game of the Year have changed for you?
It probably would have been on my list. If I'd stuck it out, if I'd gotten more comfortable with keyboard and mouse, I probably would have put this on my top 10. I don't know if it would have made Game of the Year. I still don't think by the time I'm done with it, I will feel as strongly as I do about Doom 2016. Because this one, it does it's a more taxing experience, and I think there are players out there who would want what Eternal is offering them. In terms of you got to be on top of it at all times, and they do something I appreciate. Like they don't make you feel bad about playing on lower difficulties. They just want you to play the game how you want to play it. And I got to a boss fight, and surprise, surprise, it was pretty fucking rough. But after I died a few times, it came up as like, hey, just so you know, you can turn on this armor that will greatly reduce the amount of damage that comes into you. But I could feel myself getting better as I was playing it, which is like, that's what kept me with it. Like, there was that initial jolt of, oh God, I don't remember what the hell I'm doing here. And then feeling more comfortable, but then new enemies were introduced, and I was dying a little bit in the different combat arenas, but they introduced this new demon, and it's a big boss fight, and I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, all right, time to move on to the next whatever. And you go down, and you have to fight two of the same demon with a bunch of other ads. And I got through that much faster than it took me to beat him the first time. And that felt really good. It's
Nice.
the same endorphin kick that I get, like, when I was telling a friend, it's like fighting a Dark Souls boss all the time because of how keyed in and focused you have to be on whatever you're
doing a great
doing.
job selling this, man.
Hey, it's for a lot of people. Sounds great. So anyway, I really enjoy my time with that. If as long as I keep having fun, I will keep playing it. I'll play through the campaign. Probably check out that DLC because I completely forgot I paid for the deluxe version of this last year, and so I own that DLC already. So it's there. If we'll see what happens.
Cool.
So
I've
man.
actually had a craving recently to play Doom. Doom, original
Mhm.
Doom. And I guess the best way for me to play that is on my Switch. Did Bethesda rip all their shitty Bethesda shit out of it now? Can I
No.
play just Doom without giving them my
I don't know.
keys to my life?
You could play it on your Mac. You could
Yeah.
definitely play it on your Mac.
Nah, that's not it.
But if you want to play it on a big TV, I don't know. Did they not sell it on the PlayStation Network?
I don't know. I mean, I know that the joke is that Doom is on everything, but
Yeah.
I'll probably check it out on Switch and maybe sell my soul to Bethesda.
There you go.
To mean
Something we all
Microsoft.
do.
Actually, I've played some Doom. The only Doom, yeah, I guess I feel slightly better about selling my soul to Microsoft. At least I'd make some money off it.
Yeah.
I've never played Doom 2, and the only play I played original Doom was on the Sega 32X, which I'm gonna say
Not the best version.
maybe not the best way to play Doom. Maybe not the worst. There's a Game Boy Advance version of Doom that is supposed to be pretty bad, but
Yeesh. No, thank you.
I do kind of want to play some Doom. I might do that.
John, anything else you've been playing?
Yeah. No, that does it for me. But Chase, you mentioned selling one's soul, which brings us to the first story of the evening, which I was
and the second story.
Yes.
So we're going to transition over to the casual report for some news.
The casual report. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Excuse me.
Is this the right mic? Is this the right mic for that?
That's right, Mike. We have mics for the casual report.
That's Chase. Chase has got a boom mic in his face for some reason.
There's a boom.
It's a big boomer. So Chase, I thought you being the resident Evo fan / fighting game fan,
Okay, sure.
you would take the lead on this top story that we have here.
Yeah, I guess I'm more of a fan than either of you.
I mean, I like fighting games, but you actually watch Evo. You engage in fighting games more than I do. So I thought I'd hand it to you, our resident fighting game expert.
Yeah, I don't know a ton. I mean, I briefly read the story that you linked here, but yeah, the Sony bought Evo, which is weird. I don't know why they did that.
It's a weird thing.
I don't think I saw a number. I don't think they said how much they spent for it.
I'm wondering. Okay, would this have happened if COVID hadn't happened.
Are you saying that would Sony have wanted to buy Evo, or would Evo have
Evo
wanted
have
to
sold
sell?
to Sony if COVID hadn't happened, if it hadn't been so detrimental on?
I bet it probably created the opportunity. Yeah, I mean, I could see Evo being sold to anybody at any time, really. But yeah, I imagine the financial hardships of, hey, we have a live in person event, and we can't do live in person events right now. Probably really screwed them. So
Yeah.
On one hand, it makes sense for Evo. Totally get it. Like now you have some stability there. I still don't know what PlayStation gets out of it. What does Sony gain here?
They just saw Microsoft buying a bunch of shit and they're like, I guess we better do that too. We're going to be cool.
Maybe. Like they certainly don't have the deep pockets like Microsoft does. So maybe this was just something they could afford and they felt like making some kind of acquisition to make some noise. The big question that everybody had was, well, what does this mean for Smash? Because Smash, as much as it's maligned in a lot of the community, is like one of the top, if not the top, viewed and played game at Evo.
It has the most entries every year, doesn't it?
I think it has more than Street Fighter at this point. And now there are multiple kinds of Smash because Melee was in it for such a long time, and then Ultimate, people have transferred over now at this point to be playing more of that. Nintendo did provide a statement saying that Nintendo has enjoyed engaging with fans at past Evo tournaments and wish the show organizers the best with their new venture. We will continue to assess Evo and other opportunities as we plan for future online and offline Super Smash Bros. Tournament activity. That was from a spokesperson at Nintendo. So
that's the most nothing statement.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't just say happy trails, fuck off, we're never dealing with you again. But it is, it's a non-committal thing, which, why would they feel the need to commit to anything?
Probably the best you can hope for from Nintendo on this.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, it's a lot better than Nintendo ripping their games out of Evo at multiple different points for multiple different reasons.
Yep.
Again, I don't really see what this gets Sony. It's not like Sony has a ton of exclusive fighting games under their belt or anything.
Street Fighter 5.
That's not a Sony only game, though.
Correct.
It's on PC.
Yeah.
It's on their console.
I suppose so, but I don't know. But that was just for 5. Like, who knows what happens to 6 if there is a 6? The Arxis games are on everything. Yeah, it's Mortal Kombat's on everything for now.
Yep. So it'd be interesting to see where that goes.
Mortal Kombat didn't go exclusive, did it?
No.
For some reason, I thought that did.
No.
Okay.
It's MKX has been on Game Pass for a really long time.
There was a rumor that who puts them out?
NetherRealms.
Yeah, but isn't NetherRealms part of something bigger?
They're owned by Warner Brothers.
There was talks a while back that Microsoft was looking to purchase Warner Brothers gaming division, and they were talking about like,
fuck it, we're buying Bethesda, bitches.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's still rumors that there's another Bethesda level acquisition from them coming this year.
2K.
It's too much consolidation. That's
Embracer Group.
It's going to end up bad.
I mean, yeah, they'll get to the point in the next 5-10 years of where they were in the 90s when the government comes in and is like, hey, wait a minute.
Can I ask this quick question? Like, not to like go down this rabbit hole, but let me just ask this, because here's my, like, the reason I think this is happening is clearly like the writing's starting to come on the wall. Cloud gaming's not going away. Like when you got juggernauts like Amazon and Google who are putting out hardware now to compete with them, and even Google saying that we're not going to develop in-house, we're just going to be doing more third-party stuff. Like, would it make, like, do you think that there's any fear that these companies, I guess what I'm asking is it better for somebody like Microsoft, who has had a bit of a history and a somewhat good rapport with these studios, to be taking them into the Microsoft game studios versus like Google, Amazon, bringing these people in? And obviously, like, it's not been a great environment for people so far in a short period of time. Like, for me, like, if it's going to happen, I guess I would be rooting for Microsoft in that sense versus an Amazon or a Google.
I guess you just mean in that Microsoft has been in the games business now for 21 years, and these other
they
people
know
are
what
just
they know
starting
what
out.
they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a better level
and
of
are not
respect.
actively
It
screwing over
seems.
their studios.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also, I guess, Amazon and Google both have more money than God, but yeah, I think that probably plays a really big part of it. They are one of the platform holders.
Sure. Could you imagine?
Two of the platform holders. They have Windows and Xbox. So,
like, I know that people are upset that potentially like Elder Scrolls is only going to be on, Microsoft platforms. Could you imagine having to have Stadia to play the Elder Scrolls?
No.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah,
Having Luna, having to have Stadia to play those games, like that's a reality.
Suck.
There's legitimately
Sure.
there's games out there that you have to have one of those services.
Sure.
Yeah. It's just nuts. It's just weird to think about.
And it's stupid.
I think Microsoft over the years it has a better track record of bringing in studios and not immediately destroying them.
Right.
I look at a place like Double Fine that seems to continue to work. They were purchased as they were making Psychonauts 2. They're still making Psychonauts 2, and it sounds like they are relatively comfortable in that they're getting the time to continue to build stuff and deal with COVID and things like that. Whereas if I think back to EA acquiring studios, and that was the kiss of death.
Yep.
If EA got you, BioWare. Oh God. Sorry about that. And a studio like BioWare doesn't get as much room to play, and maybe that is a reason why a game like Anthem ended up being shuttered for its Anthem Next or whatever they were calling that.
Yeah.
Because EA has historically not been as good with their acquisitions.
No, they have not. That is putting it lightly.
I still don't love the acquisition game. I would prefer people to be independent where they can afford things themselves, make more creative and business decisions by themselves. I think we get a better, richer game environment out of that. And it's kind of a bummer to see like how long until 4 Quarters, the developers who made Loop Hero, how long until they get picked up by somebody? And then do we get to see a game like Loop Hero ever again? Who knows? It's just it's questions you get when things like that happen.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's still like a good number of small studios that are cranking out the games and making gobs of money.
Totally. And if the choice is between having Evo be a Sony sponsored event and having Evo die, I suppose I would rather it go to Sony. So if that's what it has to be, that's what it has to be.
Yeah.
Speaking of acquisitions, or potential acquisitions.
So we all use Discord. We're using Discord right now to record this podcast. Anytime Bobby and I play together on PC, it's usually through Discord. And
when we played on last night when we did our stream for Nintendo, we were all on Discord.
It's a very useful app. I have Discord servers I'm on for Patreons that I support. And it's a really cool little app, and it looks like Microsoft is potentially wanting to purchase them for around $10 billion.
So I read something about this
for Bethesda.
Bethesda was 8.
How much did they spend for Bethesda?
I think.
Okay.
And so the evaluation I heard for Discord was around 7. But I also heard that this was something that might not even be geared towards gaming, but more towards Microsoft Teams. And
oh God,
I don't know if that's true or not.
What a
let the dream
piece
die.
Of shit software, Jesus Christ.
So this is one that doesn't make any sense to me because, like, I know the EVA one didn't make too much sense to me either. But Microsoft already did this. They bought Skype, and it didn't go great. They haven't really done anything with Skype. Skype hasn't gotten better. In fact,
name me one problem that can't be solved by throwing $10 billion at it. Name me one problem.
It depends. Like, so here's your to Chase's point. I could see
NFTs is the answer.
Oh God,
That's the one.
I saw
problem you can't
somebody put a
solve.
bunch of TVs up in a studio and had an NFT art exhibition. Anyway,
Okay.
so
Time to end the human race.
so here's where I think this could go. If it was something that was going to be absorbed into assets they already had, and they were like Discord would die, which I don't think that would be the case. I could see this getting baked in underneath the Skype name or the Microsoft Team name.
Yeah.
Like I could see this going towards one of
Or
those two things.
They'll take the guts of Discord
Yeah.
and implement it into their shitty app called
Correct.
Teams.
But
I mean, Discord has a lot of cachet just in the name. I think at this point it has more cachet than Skype.
agreed. And I think that when I see like where I see potential benefit for this would be based off what Phil said at that conference that they put out with Bethesda.
Friend of the show, Phil.
Yeah, friend of the show, Phil Spencer, where he was saying Bethesda games will be available anywhere that you could, like anywhere that xCloud or Game Pass was available. Yep. And I think that there was some pretty like heavy talks, it sounded like at one point in time, about Nintendo getting a Game Pass app. But the opportunity with the way that Nintendo handles their online shit, their concerns with that, if Game Pass was able to bake in all these things for like partying up with the Xbox stuff and all that, there could be something that would make it a lot more feasible as an all-in-one solution versus like, okay, you got to have Game Pass, you got to have your Xbox membership, you got to have all this other stuff, where they build Discord into it toward this platform can exist on TVs, potentially competitive hardware, etc. It makes it a bit more enticing for that to be the case. And then I saw today, we didn't put it in the news, but their chat services and party services for free-to-play games no longer is paywalled. And so like even then, this makes more sense for something like a Discord. Like that opens it up even further with them not carrying, like with crossplay and all that other shit. Like it makes a lot more sense to have this versus their current party stuff. That's where I just kind of see that going. But I don't know my ass on this stuff.
Yeah. I wonder if Nintendo would actually be more turned off by that. Of you want to Trojan horse your party stuff in. Okay, Nintendo, for all its faults of its online stuff, it built its online stuff in a very specific way to protect children, is what they would say. But
inconvenience people, I think, is the
yes. But they built it purposefully for that. So if Microsoft came in and said, well, we have this thing that's going to fix all that, Nintendo might say, that's not what we signed up for. We don't want that.
Yeah. Who knows?
Something to
we'll see
consider.
what happens. Yeah. And speaking of more good news, so you guys know how difficult consoles and graphics cards and things of that
hang on a second. Jump ahead really quick because we're still talking about Game Pass and stuff. Go to that next story.
Oh, just Outriders is coming to Game Pass day one.
You mentioned Anthem earlier. Not that this could have saved Anthem, but I think it would have helped Anthem out a little bit further.
Yeah, I think Outriders, as we are wont to say, is a perfect Game Pass game. I think it'll bolster its numbers. It'll get people who weren't, looking to buy this game or even aware of it to try it out. And good for them. I hope people are. I hope that.
I think that we're like, look. I know that you two. I think out of the group of us, I enjoy this the most. But
I didn't have a not good time with it.
This is currently sitting as like the number one selling game on Steam.
Great.
Like upcoming game.
I got monsters now.
I get that. That's fine. That's this week. This is next week. But what I'm trying to say is like just saying like this is a perfect Game Pass game. There's people who are happily forking over $60 right now on PC for this game.
And we'll see.
So yes, I agree. It's good that it's going to be on Game Pass, and I think that you're discrediting like what Microsoft's doing by saying like, hey, they're going to put this game day and date on their platform for anybody who's paying that money. Like that's a big win for anybody on it versus like this game's middling. So it's good that you don't have to pay money for it.
Okay. We'll see once the full game comes out how much people really like it and stick with it.
I mean,
I think
It
it is
seems
kind of
fine.
a bummer. Like it's great. It's great to have. Hey, this is coming to the service that you are already paying for, so you essentially get it for free. I wonder how many people have already spent the money, like you said, on pre-orders and things, and
Cancel those
now they're like,
pre-orders.
but
I
like the
suppose
fact that it's a non-Microsoft owned studio putting out day and date on
for
Uh,
that
now,
service.
for now,
Sure, for now.
They've,
But I think that there's
they've done
something to be
this
said about
before
that.
for other games. Like, there's been a handful of other games that have launched on Game Pass the day that they come out that weren't necessarily owned by Microsoft. I'd have to look up specific examples, but this isn't the first time that's happened.
Okay.
And yeah, like I think Outriders is a perfectly cromulent shooter. It's fun, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that once it finally comes out next week. All right, guys, you know how difficult it's been to buy new electronics the last several months. Well, a reason behind that is because of a chip shortage. One of the reasons behind that is a chip shortage. And good news, it's reaching a crisis point. And the chances of you being able to find that Xbox Series X or S or PS5 or 3080, even cars apparently are being affected by this because, hey, chips are in everything.
Cell phones.
Yeah, I've seen like there's a GM or some other factory here in Missouri that is not producing a car that they would be producing because they can't get the chips that would go into it. There was a fire in a factory, I think in Japan, that it's going to shut it down for a month. So we're just throwing it on top of the pile of things that are contributing to the issues that these manufacturers are having meeting demand. So that's
it's one of those things at the beginning of the movie Interstellar. Have you both seen that? So at the beginning of Interstellar, McConaughey's talking to Michael Caine about, like, this is set years in the future, but they're talking about the, like, how like naive it was of us to continually think that our upgrade cycle mentality would be able, like, essentially like the resources would be able to keep up with it. And like this is pretty fucking scary, like on multiple levels, to think about like how many things are impacted by this right now. And like yes, it's hard to get these consoles and this other shit, but it's pretty fucking terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, it's affecting not just consumers like us, but the people that work in those places. And
right.
Here at home, you know, those people that are just going to be not working for the next month or however long. So what were we going to say, Chase?
Yeah. Just not to diminish it, but this is still like a COVID issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the reason it's not like a natural resources problem of we just don't have enough. Like that's probably going to come at some point, but like right now it's more, we just can't get people into the factories enough to produce them. Not so like that's where the crisis is coming from. Not saying that's an easy problem to solve, but it is a problem that is, you know, in the process of getting solved, I suppose.
Hasn't Samsung said something about the next Note not being released, or there's only gonna be one version of it or something because of these chip shortages? Like it's affecting stuff across multiple industries.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, this has been worsening for some time.
Yeah. This
past year, to Chase's point with COVID, was like a perfect storm adding in from like a bottlenecking standpoint. But the GameSpot article that Johnny cited has some stuff in the Guardian talking about the length that this has been going on for a while now. Yeah. Only being compounded.
It's probably going to get worse before it gets better.
So bringing it back to games here, yes, obviously there are people out there who are trying to get PS5s and Xbox Series X's and S's and can't. I think all of us count ourselves lucky that we were able to get the consoles that we wanted and have them. But let me ask, have you guys actually played any games that require PS5 or Xbox Series X or S that you feel have really justified the system?
The only game I can think of that I would have played on PlayStation that, I mean, I have a PC that has a 38 in it, so like I'm not exactly like out of the camp here, but Tim. If I didn't have a PC, I would 100% be playing Tim right now. And like that is currently only on the PlayStation 5. For anybody who has a console that doesn't have the means to play it on a PC, like that's the place to play it. So like that would be one that I would play there. But no, and I mean, like I think that we talked about that for a while. Like the only thing that really compelled us, well, I guess like Astro. I would say Astro would be something I've played.
Yeah. Astro is the one I can think of. They'd be like, man, it would really suck if I didn't play Astro. But also,
I mean, I really love Miles, but that's also on
PlayStation 4. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
Demon
not
Souls
necessary to
feels
have
like
one of
the
these.
only one.
No, it's
No,
not.
definitely not. Like my
the
point
opportunity
is that I
presented
don't.
itself, and so
Yeah, like my point is that I don't think people should feel awful that they can't find one.
No.
There's nothing
Right.
that you're really missing. Yes, Astro's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes, it's nice that I could play Bug Snacks for free instead of having to pay for Bug Snacks on the PS5. But like Johnny said, outside of Demon Souls, which is like really the only exclusive I've seen so far, and we all know the Souls takes on this podcast are pretty split. There just hasn't been a lot.
I have to say though, I feel pretty confident without the pandemic we'd be saying something different about that though. And I think more people would have these boxes too. But
more people would have these boxes and more of those games would be out. Like if we didn't have COVID, the whole production cycle would change for sure. Absolutely.
Right.
But
like even looking ahead this year,
Monster Hunter on your Switch now. So.
I think we're getting that new Ratchet and Clank, Horizon Forbidden West.
But I could tell you right now, like I might say something different after June. I could easily say something different after June, but I could not see myself being like, fuck, if I don't have a PlayStation 5 by June to play Ratchet and Clank, I am going to be so pissed off. Like, I don't think that would be like now.
I'm not saying this is going to get fixed by. Yeah, I'm not saying this is going to get fixed by June, but June's still a few months off from now. So
right.
So like there's still time for people to get those systems or continue searching for those systems before the games that really matter. Like right now we're in like end of March, and it's okay. It's okay to just continue to be playing on a PS4 or an Xbox One.
Yeah.
Do you think
now isn't the time when most people buy these systems anyway?
Do you think that there would be? So we talked about the Bloomberg article that came out, like citing the Switch. Easy for me to say. The Switch Pro or whatever they're fucking calling it, like going into production this summer. Which
that's going to be a tough thing to find.
like, does that make a lick of sense right now? Like, given the shortages.
I mean, okay, but you have to also consider how many months and like the timeline of stuff like this. Like,
dude, that's what I'm saying. They're talking about production. Like, legitimately, there's nothing that you can fucking do about the chips. So, like, why would they go into production in 2 months?
They might already have a stockpile of stuff for this. Like,
that's true.
That's true.
There's a good on ramp to manufacturing any new product like that. So, like, it's probably gonna be very limited. You know, obviously the supplies that they have, but I assume things like that are in motion so long ahead of time that you can't really stop that train.
And this is on the general cycle. Like, yes, everything shifts because of COVID, but this is generally around the time Nintendo would be putting out some type of new hardware. Jeff Grubb, a friend of the show, Jeff Grubb, put on Twitter just like, hey, look back at what Nintendo's hardware revisions have been. 2 years ago was the Nintendo Switch Lite. 2 years before that was the Switch. Like the new 3DS, the 3DS. Like we've gone through these kind of like it's usually been about 2 to 3 years that they put out new hardware
of some kind.
This is 2 to 3 years after they put out their last hardware of some kind. No, the Switch Lite was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Which I know it's not. It's a half step. It's not even a half step. It's a side step. It's
right. No. You're right. I completely 100%. I'm on board with what you're saying for sure.
Yeah, like this is the right timing for Nintendo, and I'm sure from a business standpoint, this is probably what they've been thinking all along. So to Johnny's point, maybe they do have a stockpile that they've been holding on to. Uh, Again, it's Nintendo, so they almost try to keep the supply limited to keep people excited, and maybe that's actually working into their favor. Of there just aren't enough chips out there right now, so we're going to have a pretty slim thing. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Does
also
does
that hardware specifically is 4 years old. To your point, where the Switch is a little long in the tooth. I imagine you're going to see a lot of that up close here on Friday when Monster Hunter comes out, and you're
apparently
gonna
it's the second
probably
best looking game ever on the Switch.
Yep.
looking for sure, but like in motion with any
Runs at a solid
slowdown.
30 from everything I've seen and read.
But that's 30,
Yeah.
and the
I've been
big
playing
PC
games at 30 for most
but
of
now
my
you-
life.
But now you've got your 3080s
I
and your
don't
big
expect
No,
that out of
I'm
my
I'm
Switch.
with Chase because the
you guys
rumor of this
become
game
frame
coming out
rate
on PC is really exciting, but it's also equally as exciting for me to think that okay, I play this for 7 months, maybe less on my current Switch. Maybe they put something out come holiday. Maybe I'm able to get one. And then all of a sudden, this game gets that bump. Or like maybe there's going to be some Nintendo magic where it works out. I agree, Chase. Like, I agree. The Switch needs a bump for sure. It needs it can't even
I
run.
mean, I don't think it needs a bump, but yes.
Yeah,
Like,
for
I'm
sure.
fine with the Switch games that are on there, but for people who want those higher res releases, higher res, higher frame rate, whatever, yeah, you're going to get to a point where you probably do need to have a more powerful machine at this point.
Yeah.
Chip
Yep.
shortages suck.
They
Speaking
definitely
of
do.
things that suck, Bobby Kotick. So
God.
the line
Hey,
I wrote
he
here.
was really good in Moneyball. Actually,
Okay.
he wasn't all that good in Moneyball. Moneyball's a good movie though. I like that.
I haven't seen Moneyball. So the header I have here, Bobby Kotick is still a piece of shit.
Yep.
And the reason I say that is he is slated to receive something like $200 million
Mm-hmm.
in a bonus, as you know, dozens of people are going to be losing their jobs at Activision. And
Not dozens. It's like closer to 200.
Oh, great! Even better.
And
Yeah.
there's severance on top. Like there's some nice severance there.
That was the real kick in the dick.
Yeah, they do have money they're taken care of, but it's like, hey, by the way, you can't work here, but stay with us by having a gift card.
Here's some $200 to spend on BattleNet. Get some
gift cards.
Overwatch loot crates. Buy some
Meanwhile,
Hearthstone packs.
it's just a bad fucking look. It's really unfortunate, and this is
when you're
a much bigger
sociopath,
problem. Much bigger problem.
And yeah, it's not a good look.
No, this is just fucking capitalism, man.
Not that he gives a shit at all. But this is like the second time in the last 1 or 2 years something like this has happened, where he gets like a dump truck full of money and a bunch of people lose their jobs. Or was it last year or the year before? It was like, hey, we had a record year, profit wise. By the way, all these people are now without jobs, and
shit happens all the time.
Like businesses, like fine, you're not doing the thing that these people were doing before. So where are they going to go? But it's irks me to no end that he gets all that money and these people get like a few breadcrumbs. The people that actually do the work and make his company run while he's on his super yacht or whatever he's doing blow off of God knows what surface. Allegedly.
Yeah.
I can't say for a fact that Bobby Kotick snorts cocaine off of.
Yeah, that's probably not something that we would endorse.
Allegedly. Anyway.
Yeah.
This is a really uplifting news week. So
gonna get better.
PS3, PSP, and Vita libraries are shutting down.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So this is a rumor. The there's the rumor going around. There's a source apparently who has said that the PSP and PS3 online stores are going to be closed in July, early July, and the Vita store will stay open until late August. Um, I I really hope that's not true, but it probably is true, and that's a real bummer.
Yep. It'd be cool if
Yep.
there's a way, to
But this is
continue accessing these games, because
there's
from a
been
preservation standpoint, it's concerning.
there's a few things that they've shut down. Like I know that Communities is shutting down. They just yanked all of their TV shows and movies from the PlayStation Store. Like there's definitely some tightening up happening. So I do think that these rumors here have some credence on what it would be. Like I just don't know. Like again, like it sucks. And I think that Nintendo has done this a couple times with like their eShops and variations of it. It never feels good.
No.
And I know like Chase, you are the biggest Vita fan I've ever met. And I know that
I'm
Johnny,
the only Vita fan you've
I had one. I got out while the getting was good. And Johnny, you've been eyeballing these things like some lost pup.
For years.
met. So
But
you
I
better
just
buy one now and load
Chase-
it up.
Yeah, Chase always talks me off the ledge. I'm like, hey man, look at this Vita I found on. He's
Right.
like, you don't need a Vita. Don't do this. And then I'm like, okay, yes, that makes sense.
it's still it sucks, right? It still
Yeah,
sucks.
It
never
does suck.
cool when you can't access a library of games or music or some other form of media is just gone.
Yep.
Even if that many people aren't access from like a cultural, sociological standpoint, it's sad that things like that can just disappear into the ether, like how those Flash games are gone now. It's just
they're like they preserved a lot of them, but yes, Flash itself is gone. And soon the best way to play Persona 4 is going to be gone. Yes, you can.
Is there a way,
Golden on
Chase, to do
PC,
like
but it's not the same.
can you do like a massive download to like some sort of like external media, or is there any way to do this that you can think of?
Wait,
I don't think so.
okay, like legally do this?
Yeah, like is there a way to go to like PlayStation, or is there a way that you can start to like download anything and do this and have it
I mean,
backed up?
I think the only thing you could do is just buy a shit ton of memory cards and put a bunch of different games on those cards. Although I think it still has to authenticate something to be able to say, oh, yes, this is the memory card of your PlayStation ID. So now we can. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. It's a good question.
It'd be interesting to see what happens there.
I will say I will, I'll be sad, but I will definitely buy a PSP Go once it hits rock bottom and is basically useless, because that is one of the most gorgeous systems ever made.
And
I've always wanted one, but it was just so pointless. And now that it will be completely pointless to everyone, I will totally buy a PSP.
But Chase will own one. Square had a thing. They had their very first Square Enix
Nintendo
Presents.
Direct.
Did you guys tune into this or watch any of the trailers and things that came out from it?
I watched Forspoken.
Okay.
I read about stuff that happened and saw a couple trailers, but I did not watch it, no.
So we're getting a new Life is Strange. And they're also combining the first two games into a single package.
They're remastering them, aren't they? Like they're upping them a little bit.
Yeah. Yep, they're getting remastered. Coming out in the fall. There's no firm date given for that yet.
The third Life is Strange is going to feature an Asian American protagonist, which is
cool.
As I think Don't Nod has, maybe to a fault, I might say, has tried to be in the news and up with current events on what they do. And they've obviously been building this game longer than the Asian American violence that's been happening very recently. But it is something that I'm sure they have seen some anti-Asian American sentiment and
Yeah.
have built their game accordingly. But the way it's just sometimes it smacks a little too much of like we're trying, a little on the nose, as John's
Sure.
point.
Yeah. So yeah, this one is going to feature Alex Chen, who's trying to figure out the mysterious death of her brother using an empathy-based psychic ability, whatever that means.
I really would like to play one of these games.
So I own.
I have them all. I have everything that they've done so far with the with these, but I've just not ever played them.
Maybe that'd be a good one for the stream.
Yeah, I watched Giant Bomb play through the first one, but I own the second one. Have tried very hard not to learn too much stuff about the second one, and I tell myself I'm going to play it at some point, and I just haven't. So
yeah.
But dude, that Forspoken game looks fucking slick.
It does.
It does look good.
But the coolest game they showed off, Bobby, before we jump ahead of ourselves, a little game called Balan Wonderworld. Are you familiar?
Yeah, Johnny, I know what that is.
The game looks like such a piece of shit. Oh my god.
That looks like somebody who like. No, I'm not even going to get into it. I don't even want to give that game the time.
Chase is real sad over there.
I am a little sad. Like I like
Yuji
Yuji
Dog
Naka.
and Yuji Naka's honor.
He made Sonic. He made Ivy the Kiwi.
Right.
This game's not good.
No,
it's not good. It seems dead on arrival, and that's a bummer. It'd be great if this game was just like a weird, cool, awesome game, and it just doesn't seem like it is.
Yeah, but speaking of cool, the cool thing that they did show off, as Bobby mentioned, was this game called Forspoken.
This was Project.
What it used to be called?
Project 8.
Athea.
Project Athea. Now Forspoken.
Yeah. So they gave off a very brief, like it's someone talking in the beginning, and then it shows
it's the actress.
The actress playing Ella, who's going to be the protagonist, and it shows her saying, "Is that a motherfucking dragon?" Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is being built on the Luminous engine, which is
Mm-hmm.
the same engine that they built Final Fantasy 15 with, and so it's. I mean, it looks awesome. It
looks really cool.
A very beautiful looking game. And I think the real star of the show here is the mobility.
Yeah,
the
totally.
way that character moves and parkours up cliffs and dashes in and out of things and kind of wisps in plenty of directions. That stuff seems real cool.
Yeah, man. And this is 2022, right?
It is, yeah. It's coming out sometime in 2022. They haven't said when. Okay. So that could be quite a ways off from where we are now. Finally, esteemed podcast, Casual Hour.
I've heard of them.
Has declared Tiny Tina the worst character in video games.
I'd fucking do it again if I could.
Yeah. that was a lot of fun.
Well earned.
Yeah, I had to throw that in there to round out the news because that's just.
I may hit the soundboard again for that one.
It could have been Duke Nukem, but it's definitely Tiny Tina.
It is Tiny Tina, and fuck Tiny Tina.
Yeah.
The one thing that we didn't mention just quickly: Microsoft Xbox Live is dead. Long live Microsoft Xbox Live.
What do I do with my Xbox Live Silver subscription?
They're changing. They're just changing the name.
Yeah, Microsoft Network.
It is weird. I guess it's not weird. It makes somewhat sense.
It's fine.
But that's a name that's been out for a really long time.
Yeah, it has.
People know Xbox Live.
They do.
And now it's gone.
Synonymous with Xbox. It's just synonymous with being online, and that's his point.
Well, hey, Johnny, thank you for taking us through that report there. That is going to do it for us. If you have been paying attention, we've got a lot of content that we've put out around this episode. We mentioned last week's, we did a really cool deep dive where we talked about the 32 worst video game characters, and we got it down all the way to Tiny Tina. But if you want to see how that process worked out, go check out a video on demand on Twitch or on our YouTube channel. We've got 2 quick looks up. Chase, thank you so much for hanging out. Johnny, I think you and I might record one this weekend. But we've got a quick look at the fights and tight spaces that I talked about. And then we've got a new one that just went up today for Everhood that Chase put up, or that Chase has been playing and talked about. So check both of those out. Really good time. Our show is available pretty much everywhere. If you're listening to this on a podcast, we're recording this on Wednesday night. We record Wednesdays at 7:30, and we post these episodes Central Time. Thank you, Johnny. We post these everywhere you can listen to podcasts. Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time. Chase, you on top of all these other things, somehow do another podcast called Gamers on the Go. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that show?
Well, I don't do it very often. That's probably how I fit it in. But yeah, me and a guest will talk about a handheld game or a franchise or a piece of hardware. And we'll just talk about its legacy, its inspiration, how it plays, any of that kind of stuff. And it's a good time. They don't come out on any set schedule, but you can see more. And I post about them on gamersonthego.com or on Twitter at GOTG Podcast.
It's the when I feel like it schedule.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's also a pretty evergreen concept too. Like there's a game on there. Yeah. Check it out. Take a look. It's a really great encyclopedia of some of these games across multiple gaming, mobile gaming platforms and handheld gaming platforms.
We've both been guests.
We've both been guests on there. It's a great time. Love to come back sometime soon. But Johnny, I'm banned.
Yeah.
Banned.
You sold all your mobile systems.
I did.
Like, Bobby, would you like to come on and talk about Pokemon X? You can't.
I can talk about Cozy Grove on my phone.
Cozy Grove. Bobby, the answer is Minecraft. Been playing Minecraft with Jude.
Jude's your son.
Jude is my son. He's 8 years old. He loves Minecraft. He lost his video game privilege today because of a little outburst he had. Because he yelled at me this morning because Misty and I ate the last of the leftover pancakes that I'd made, and it was the way in which he did it. He lost his screen privileges, but I told him if he finished reading his Minecraft book that was written by Max Brooks, who wrote World War Z, and gave me a little book report, he could have TV back. And he read that whole fucking book this morning and gave me a little synopsis of it. He's a good kid. He needs to learn.
If you ever try and take away something from me for yelling at you.
Yeah, I was gonna say we yell at you all the time. Do I have my video game privilege?
As big, if not bigger than you someday. So I have to get it while the getting's good, while I can still boss him around, because he's gonna be a monster. And then I also I write occasionally. I have a writing group I've been working with. I actually today outlined a whole book I want to write by the end of this year.
Nobody cares about your erotic Halo fan fiction.
This is different.
Yeah,
what are you writing? What are you writing about?
Halo.
This is my Harry Potter erotic fan fiction.
Hot.
No, this is a fantasy story that I've had bounced around in my head for about 10 years now. I wrote a lot for it about 10 years ago, and I've been rewriting all of it this year with my little writing group that I have, and I'm feeling confident enough in myself.
Is this an actual writing group, or is this a couple of your high school buddies?
Not high school friends, but it is 2 friends. All 3 of us enjoy writing, and we share posts with each other every week. We give each other feedback, and it's been really awesome to have that creative outlet again. So.
And it's nice to have some people who support you, unlike the 2 of us.
Yes.
It's probably nice to have Johnny show up and do something with you too, unlike us. So,
well, he probably shows up on time for that.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Bobby, what do we have coming up for the casual hour?
We've got some fun stuff. There is
some Monster Hunter.
Big ass stream for Friday night. Me, Johnny, friend of the show Jason, friend of the show Phil. Hopefully maybe you can at least stop by and hang out with us you're gonna be out of town.
I'll be
You're out of
I'll
town.
be out of town. Yeah.
Darn.
Darn. You know, I was so looking forward to Monster Hunter
But we are going to
Rise.
be going live on Friday night with the new Monster Hunter Rise. We got a 4-man squad lined up. It is going to be a damn good time. So tune in, twitch.tv/casual hour.
Do you know if that has a tutorial? Like, are you going to have to do something before you can...
No, that's one of the cool things about this one. They have figured out, seemingly, some of the missteps from World and other Monster Hunter titles where you are no longer held back by progression of other individuals. So you don't have to watch cutscenes to join up. You can hop right in. This game apparently has a lot more mobility, not only in like your action, but just the way that the game moves forward compared to other titles. Yep. So that is a game that you'll probably be seeing a bit on our show. I'm sure Johnny and I are going to be just gushing after playing that. But yeah, Friday we'll be having our Monster Hunter stream, 10:30 p.m. Central Time. Come join, come hang out. And I think that's it. I think it's going to cover it for us. I appreciate you both. It was a lot of fun. And we'll be back Friday and then Monday again, and who knows when between them. So
yeah, let's fight on Monday.
I would love to fight. We're fighting on Monday. You're there with me, right?
Absolutely.